Hey guys, what's going on? It's CJ. We're back again with another Prize Picks video for you. I know it's Saturday and, unfortunately, I typically don't make videos on the weekend, but I did miss a video yesterday for Friday, so I'm back again doing a video for you today to make up for my unexcused absence. Hopefully, you were able to play yesterday's promo. There was a promo going around where me, Sal Vitri, a few guys over on Twitter, all of us dropped a pick. And if you tailed that pick, you got a 25% payout boost if that pick hit. Well, I'm happy to report that our pick hit. We had Ben Simmons going over 5.5 assists yesterday, as well as Michael Porter Jr. going over 2.5 3-point makes. Both of those picks ended up working out. So if you tailed it and you played it, congratulations. You won money plus an extra 25% on top. Now, this is a promotion that me and PrizePicks and some of the other top partners with PrizePicks are probably going to do more in the future. So definitely be on the lookout for that going forward. Now, if this is your first time on the channel, welcome. Here on this channel, we do all things PrizePicks related. We talk single stat player props. We do fantasy points once in a while. I kick it old school, I call it. So if you're into that sort of thing, definitely hit the subscribe button, turn on notifications. We just hit 1,100 subscribers. We've only been at this since January 1st, so the growth has been absolutely tremendous. Now today, I know a lot of you are off of work and hopefully you have time to watch this video. I'm going to set a pretty lofty like goal. I'm going to set it at 54.5 likes. I'm taking the over as I usually do. That means we got to get 55 likes or more on today's video, and I know we can absolutely do it because you guys can crush that number on any given night. Now, before we get started into the different single stat player props, we got to talk some NBA news. And the biggest news so far this early day here on Saturday is coming from Philadelphia. We got the Philadelphia 76ers with a number of top players questionable or out for tonight. So we got Seth Curry dealing with a hip injury. He's listed as questionable for the 76ers, so he may not end up playing. Ben Simmons dealing with a back injury. He's questionable for Philadelphia against the Pistons. Philadelphia's Joel Embiid dealing with a knee injury. He is also questionable on Saturday. Now, if you want my honest opinion, look, they're playing the Pistons. They don't necessarily need to have all of their top stars out there playing. They're probably getting them a little extra rest for some of these guys who have high mileage on those knees and feet. Minnesota Timberwolves, D'Angelo Russell, he was ejected last night. What else do we have here that pertains to Saturday? It looks like Lou Dort's dealing with a hip injury. He's questionable for the Thunder on Saturday. Of course, if Dort is out, that's typically usually a bump up for guys like Darius Bazley and Theo Maledon. So that would be one to definitely look out for. Maybe we could get an edge there. The Thunder's Aleksej Pokusevski is dealing with a knee injury. He's out again for Saturday as well. What else do we have here? Toronto's Fred VanVleet injury management is going to be out for Saturday, so he's not going to be playing against the Memphis Grizzlies tonight. So that's a pretty big loss there for the Toronto Raptors. See if there's anything else that's jumping out. Diallo, personal reasons, he's going to be out again on Saturday. Kyle Lowry, rest. He will be out for Toronto on Saturday, so you can expect guys like Pascal Siakam to get a boost here. I don't know who else PrizePicks will put up on the board, but definitely Siakam probably going to get the biggest boost out of anybody in that situation. Otherwise, Josh Jackson out for the Pistons on Saturday. Mason Plumlee, he's not on the Pistons injury report for Saturday, so we may see Mason Plumlee suit up here for Detroit. Also, Pistons Jeremy Grant, who's been dealing with a knee injury, he's questionable for Saturday. I would honestly be surprised if he plays. There's just really no reason. Detroit's really not playing for anything. Why put the extra wear and tear on your younger players? But that's going to do it. Let's get into some player props and start talking some points first and foremost. The first guy I want to talk about is Jonas Valenciunas. He's projected at 15.5 points. The Memphis Grizzlies are taking on the Toronto Raptors tonight. That game tips off at 7:40 p.m. on the East Coast over on PrizePicks. So we got Joe Val at 15.5. I don't think that's quite high enough. I think this is a situation where he could go over. This is also one of those games where it's one of those like revenge narrative games. Don't forget, he was previously a member of the Toronto Raptors, and we all know that the Raptors aren't very good on the inside. Jonas Valanciunas versus Khem Birch. I like Joe Val's chances tonight. But let's start things off by looking at the game total. We got 226.5 implied points here, with Toronto as a 6-point underdog at home. So the game is expected to be a pretty nice total. I would say that's not super high, but it's definitely not low. That's a nice chunky, medium-sized total there. Anyway, with the spread being just 6 points, I'm not really worried about a blowout risk or blowout potential in any way. So with that in mind, let's go ahead and do our typical research together here. I will type in, I can't type in Joval. What am I doing? I got to type in Jonas or something. All right, so at 17 points, that puts him well over 15.5. That is a great start. 1.5 points more than where he's projected over on PrizePicks. So that is looking pretty positive so far. Now, the next site we're referencing here is NBA.com. NBA.com, of course, totally free. You can go over there and check it out. So at 16.7 points per game for the season, that still is more than 15.5 points. I love the way that the over is still looking here for Jonas Valenciunas. Let's change the filters and look at just his last 5 games and run that little dilly. And you can see that in his last 5 games, he's averaging nearly 29 minutes per game. He's scoring 12.8 points per game. So that's a bit lower than 15.5. A bit of a red flag there, but hopefully he plays closer to his season averages tonight against his former team, the Toronto Raptors, than his last 5. So let's move on to our last site here, which is rotowire.com. Rotowire.com is very helpful because it's another point of reference for us when looking across the industry here and seeing how people are taking overs and unders on certain players and their player props. So we're going to type in Valenciunas, and you can see that all 4 of the different books have him at 15.5 points. Now, he's a minus 120 here, minus 118 over here, minus 118 over here, and then finally the last site, you kind of see that he's split there. Not really looking like an over and under, but 3 out of the 4 books have him going over. So the money is definitely on the over. We've got season averages that also favor the over here. We've got projections that are favoring the over here. And the fact that this game does have a pretty healthy total and it doesn't expect to be a complete blowout gives me hope that Jonas Valenciunas can ride my little narrative that he's looking to have a good game against his former team. So I'm going to stick with it. The only knock against it is that in his last 5 games, his scoring averages have been a bit down, but not too concerned with that. Next guy I want to talk about is Jonas Valenciunas' teammate, and that is Swingman Dillon Brooks, who is projected at 18.5 points. Again, they're taking on the Toronto Raptors tonight at 7:40 p.m. on the East Coast. 18.5 points to me screams a bit too high for Dillon Brooks, so I am looking to target the under on his point prop today. So let's go ahead and go back to numberfire.com. We type in Mr. Dillon Brooks' last name here, and 16.5 points is his projected points total, which is 2 whole points under 18.5. So yeah, this is looking fantastic. I mean, I would take 1 point under, but 2 points under? Now you've got my attention. So we're going to type in Dillon Brooks' name here. Get my fingers to do what my brain is telling it to. You can see that on his player card here for the season, 16.8 points per game puts him almost 2 whole points under tonight's projection of 18.5. So this is another good sign on the under for Dillon Brooks in this points prop here. But we've got to look and see how his last 5 games have been trending. Are his scoring averages going up or going down versus his season averages? Let's take a look. You can see that he's appeared in all 5 of his last 5 games, averaging over 32 minutes per game, and in that time span, 18.6 points per game, which puts him right in line here with this 18.5 on PrizePicks. So while I would have liked to see that number be under 18.5, 18.6 isn't raising a huge red flag for me, so I'm still okay with taking the under here based on the other evidence that we've seen. Now finally, we're going to type Dillon Brooks' name in here and get a look at the different sites and see if the juice, the action is going over or under. Now he's 18.5 across the industry today, which is good news for us. I like those apples to apples comparisons. You can see he's a minus 121 to go under here. Not really seeing any action on this one. BetMGM's, they've got him at minus 128 under, and finally minus 120 to go under. So 3 out of the 4 books have him going under today. On top of that, we could see that his season averages are less than 18.5 points. His 5-game averages are right around 18.5 points, not enough to really scare me off. And then finally, his projections today are definitely under 18.5, 2 whole points under, in fact. So I'm liking everything about this situation here. I think I'm going to stick to my guns and continue to look to take the under on Dillon Brooks and this point prop. So let's go ahead and move to the next one. We've got another Memphis Grizzly. It's going to be a reoccurring theme here as they had a lot of Memphis Grizzlies props that just stood out to me, but we're not going to talk points in this situation. We're moving over to assists and discussing Ja Morant, who is at 7.5 dimes. Again, taking on the Toronto Raptors. 7:40 p.m. is the tip-off time. So we're going to go back over here to number fire. We're going to click the assist column in this case. It highlights this nice little pretty yellow color. And we're going to type in Ja Morant's name. Now, you can see that they've got him at 7.7 assists, which puts him just a smidge higher than 7.5 assists. You and I both know that it's not possible to get 7.5 assists. You either have to be at 7 or 8, right? So 7.5 is kind of like a coin flip. It could go either way. But in this case, the projection is at 7.7, which pushes us over that 0.5 hump and gets us closer to 8, where we want him to be in this situation. So let's move on and type his name into NBA.com. We'll look at his season averages, his 5-game averages, and help us build a better idea here for going over or under on Ja Morant. Now he's at 7.3 assists per game for his season averages, which is in the same neighborhood as 7.5. So we'll give him a pass on this one, even though it's a little bit lower, a little bit under 7.5. I think that's a-okay. I mean, we're close enough in that regard. So let's look at his last 5 games and see if that 7.5 assist number goes up or goes down versus his season averages. So he's appeared in all 5 of his last 5 games, over 35 minutes per game. And then you can see that his assist numbers during that time are actually down, which is a red flag. So not only are his season averages below 7.5 assists, but his last 5 games are even lower than the season averages and quite a bit lower than where he's at on PrizePicks today at 7.5 dimes. So some concern here based on the averages that we're seeing. So if we click this little assist button on this toolbar that you can't see at home, but trust me, it's there. It's across the bottom on rotowire.com. It takes us over here to the assist category, and we can just type in Morant's name from here and get an idea of where he's at across the industry. So they got him at 7.5 across all 4 of these books. He's a -117 to go over here, -115 to go over there, -125, and finally -120. So all 4 of the books, although the action isn't super strong on this over for Ja Morant, probably due to his season averages and his 5-game averages, all 4 do think that the action should be on the over. So this one's a little murky for me. I don't feel super confident, but gun to head, if you are forcing me to make a decision here, I would probably go with the over, given that the totals are pretty healthy here. The spread is somewhat close, so the game should stay competitive. So there you have it for Ja Morant. Now the next guy I want to talk about is Dame Time Lillard, who's at 7.5 assists. And for me, that kind of seems pretty high for Damian Lillard. So let's dig in and see if the over or the under makes more sense in this situation. Or if we don't like it and it looks kind of murky, we can always walk away. We can fade a pick. We don't have to play these guys just because I talk about them. So always keep that in mind. All right, so let's move on over here. Look at the game totals and the spread. This game is the late game tonight. It tips off at 10:10 p.m. Damian Lillard's facing off against the San Antonio Spurs. So we've got an implied total here of 232.5 points. Quite a big total. And Portland is a 6-point favorite at home. So big total, spread's okay. I don't think it's going to blow out. Looks like it's going to stay close enough for Damian Lillard and the rest of the guys. They'll probably get a full run of minutes tonight. So knowing what we know about Lillard, you can see his name is actually already up right in front of our face. So he is projected at 7.5 assists, which is exactly where he's at on PrizePicks. So all things are equal here. Not really seeing an advantage based on the projections, but we're going to look at his averages and see if maybe we can get a better idea of which way we should be going here on Damian Lillard. All right, for the season, he is actually averaging 7.6 assists per game, which is slightly more than 7.5, meaning he's leaning closer to 8 assists per game than he is leaning towards 7 assists. So let's move down the line here. We're going to look at his last 5 games. Not really seeing a strong case for taking the under so far on Damian Lillard like I was initially feeling. In his last 5 games, he's appeared in all 5. He's averaging almost 36 minutes per game. Now, during that stretch, he is averaging 9.2 assists here. So you got the season averages above 7.5 assists, and you got his last 5 games, he is well above 7.5 assists at 9.2 per game. So this is kind of shaping up to be a flip-flop situation. So I came in thinking maybe going under on Damian Lillard would be the way to go, but now I'm kind of feeling a different way about it. I might end up going with the over. So last but not least, I should say, we're going to check out the various books. Now, all of them have him at 7.5 assists. You can see he is a minus 136 under, minus 118 under, minus 139 under, and finally a minus 120 under. So despite the fact that his season averages and his last 5 game averages are both higher than 7.5 assists, despite the fact that there's pretty high game totals in this one, they are liking him to go under across all of the different sports books out there, under 7.5 assists, which, you know, this is starting to shape up to one of them situations where nothing's really making sense. I like to look for a clear path to victory here, and I'm not seeing one. So in this case, guys, based on the research we've done together, I would probably fade this unless you have a hunch or some other source of information that leads you to believe that he could go under or over. But I'm probably looking to fade. This just doesn't feel good to me. So there you go. We're going to fade that one. All right, the next prop category we're going to talk about is some rebounds here, and I got a couple of names that jumped off of the page to me this morning. So first one I want to talk about is Bradley Beal. Bradley Beal is at 4.5 rebounds. He's taking on the Indiana Pacers today at 7:10 p.m. on the East Coast. So 4.5 rebounds to me seems a little bit low given the circumstances of this game. So let's look at that real quick, the game totals and the spread. 248.5 implied points. It is a massive, massive total, guys. These are the types of totals where you pretty much just want to target all overs if you can, because when the totals are this high, 230 points or more, I mean, you're talking more points because there's going to be more shot attempts. You're talking more rebound opportunities, assist opportunities, three-point make opportunities. So this would be a good game, in my opinion, to target some overs on. And the spread is just 3.5 points, which means all the stars will play all the minutes that they can possibly handle. So now that we know that this is turning out to be a massive, massive game here, we're going to look at Bradley Beal's rebound projection. Now, he's at 4.9 rebounds, which puts him very, very close to 5 rebounds. And if we're looking to take the over on 4.5, well, that means he's got to pull down at least 5 or more boards for us to get paid. So let's move over and see how his rebound averages have looked for both the season and his last 5 games. Now for the season, he falls just a little bit short of 5 rebounds at 4.7, but 4.7 is more than 4.5, meaning that on most days, he's leaning closer to 5 rebounds and less close to 4 rebounds. So we're liking the over here so far on Bradley Beal, I would say. So with that in mind, let's look at his last few games and see how well he's been rebounding the ball, if his rebound averages go up or if they go down. Now, he's appeared in all 5 of those games, 36.7 minutes per game during that stretch, and 3.8 rebounds per game over his last 5 games, meaning that compared to the season averages, his rebounds are trending down. Now, I wouldn't be too scared about this because, given the situation, the nature of this game, 240 plus implied points, there will be plenty of opportunities for Mr. Beal to pull down rebounds. So I wouldn't be too scared off by this 5-game average. That's just my opinion on this one. So we're going to click the rebound category. We get transported over to where we want to be. And across the industry here, he is at 4.5 rebounds. Now, at 4.5 rebounds, he is a minus 118 to go over. Some action on the over, not super strong. Minus 130. Now we're starting to cook with some grease here. It's starting to heat up. Minus 143 here. Wow, it's getting better and better all the time. And finally, capping it off with a big minus 150 on the over 4.5 rebounds. I'm loving what I'm seeing here, guys. I'm sticking with it 100%. I'm taking the over on Bradley Beal in this situation. I think there's just way too many points on the board to ignore this situation. So I'm gonna stick with it. I'm doing the over, and I think you should too. All right, the next guy we're going to talk about in the rebound prop category is going to be Kelton Johnson, a name that we haven't discussed a whole lot on the channel. Kelton Johnson, San Antonio Spurs, we've already talked about this game a little bit, taking on the Portland Trail Blazers, got a pretty healthy total, 232 or so implied points. So lots of opportunities here to pull down some rebounds, I think. So let's go ahead and type in Kelton's name. And you can see that Numberfire has him projected for 6 rebounds. Now, 6 is definitely more than 5.5. And of course, if we're looking to take the over on 5.5, he's got to be at least 6 rebounds or more. So this is a great first sign here of things to come, hopefully. Let's go ahead, type in his name into NBA.com. We'll open up his player card by control clicking or command clicking on his name. Comes up in a new tab here. And you can see for the season, 6.3 rebounds per game. So that is more than 5.5. Fantastic for us. So we click the stats category here. Traditional splits. Advanced filters. Last 5 games. Click run it. And you can see that over his last 5 games, he's averaging 31.3 minutes per game, and his rebounds are slightly down at 5 rebounds per game. Now, 5 is pretty close to 5.5, so this isn't a major red flag. This isn't going to push me off of this prop in any way, shape, or form. I still think that there is a lot of credibility here to targeting the over in this situation. All right, last but not least, over to RotoWire we go. And all 4 of the different books have him at 5.5 boards. Now, he's a minus 136 to go over here, a minus 122 to go over there, minus 143 here, and last but not least, minus 120. So all 4 agree. The juice is definitely on the over at 5.5 rebounds for Kelton Johnson tonight. I like his season averages. I like the projections. I like the game totals. And I like everything, I think, about this. So I'm going to ignore those 5-game averages. Hope tonight is more close to a season average type of game for Kelton Johnson and that he can pull down 6 or more rebounds. So I like it. I'm sticking with it. Taking the over on Kelton Johnson at 5.5 boards. Now, we're going to wrap things up by talking 2 of my favorite 3-point props that stood out to me this morning and afternoon. And both of them happen to reside in Brooklyn. Yes, I'm talking Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant, 2 of Brooklyn's biggest stars. Of course, James Harden would be the 3rd, but we haven't seen James Harden in a while, so we're not talking about him today. But we are going to talk Kyrie Irving first and foremost. He's at 2.5 3-point makes. They're taking on the Denver Nuggets tonight at 10:10 p.m. So let's head back over to Numberfire real quick, get a glimpse at how the game totals and spread are looking for this one. This game is implied for 232 points. So again, anything 230 or more is looking good to me. And just a 3.5 point spread here. So it doesn't look like it's going to be a big blowout or anything like that. So I expect this one to stay close and competitive. Now, last time we saw Kyrie Irving, that dude was in his bag. He had a fantastic game. Kevin Durant, not so much. But Kyrie Irving was just hitting 3 after 3. So pretty soft matchup here against this Denver Nuggets backcourt. Of course, they're missing Jamal Murray. They're missing, what's his name? Monty Morris. I think they're down to like Campazzo. Is that how you say his name? Campazzo and Austin Rivers or something like that. Anyway, loving the matchup here for Kyrie Irving in this one. So we're going to type in Kyrie's name here into NBA.com. Open up his player card. We're going to look at how he's been shooting the ball both for his season averages, and then we're going to look at his last 5 games, see if the number goes up or goes down. So let's click traditional splits. And now that that's loaded, you can see that for the season, he is attempting over 7 3-pointers per game. Now on those 7 attempts, he's making nearly 3. He's at 2.8 3-point makes per game for the season. So that is a very good sign. That means he's very close to making 3 3-pointers per game for the course of the season, which is a 50-game sample size. Now, we're going to look at his last 5 games, see if that 3-point make number goes up or goes down. Now, he's attempting 10.3 3-point attempts in his last 5 games, in which he's appeared in just 4 of those games, but still pretty good sample size here. And during that time, 4.3 3-point makes over his last 4 games. So that is obviously a lot more than 2.5. So the over is definitely looking like a good, strong play here. So we click the 3-point category. We type in Kyrie Irving's name. And you guys can do all this yourselves. If you have time, maybe on the weekends, this is a great time to sit down, pop the top on one of your favorite beverages and do a little bit of research here and get up to speed on some NBA stuff. But if you can't and you don't have time, well, that's why I make these videos. And that's why I offer a Patreon membership that goes even further than what I have time to do in these YouTube videos. It helps to support me as a content creator, helps me to create more of this type of content for you. So I'll leave a link to the Discord, to my Twitter handle, to the Patreon, all down in the description of this video. Definitely check it out. It's something that I would really appreciate if you decided to join. Anyway, across the board here, 2.5 3-point makes is the way that things are shaping up. On the various sites across the industry here, we got a -122 for the over, so not super strong action, but give us an idea of what people are thinking here. -122 there, -125, and finally -125. So we've got 4 books that all agree that the over on Kyrie Irving in these 2.5 3-point makes is a good way to go. He's got season averages for 3-point makes that exceed 2.5. And then his last 5 games, he's over 4 3-point makes in that time span. So that is looking very good as well. I think all signs are pointing to Kyrie Irving going over 2.5 3-point makes. I love the matchup, love the game totals and the spread. So I don't see why Kyrie can't come out and hit 3 balls. I just think it's definitely possible here. All right, and finally, we've reached our last prop of the video. Hopefully, you guys are still with me here. And if you are, well, we're going to talk Kevin Durant and these 2.5 3-point makes. Now, 2.5 3-point makes, again, I think this is a situation where Kevin Durant can go over that and hit at least 3 balls. So let's dig into it real quick and look at Kevin Durant's 3-point makes for the season. And then we'll look at his 5-game averages. And then we'll wrap things up by looking at the various sports books and see which way the action, the juice is flowing over there. All right, so for the season, he is attempting 5.6 3-pointers per game. He is making 2.6, which is just a little over 2.5, meaning it's leaning closer to 3 than it is 2, which is a good sign for us. Anything over 2.5 is what we're looking for here, and that's over a 30-game sample size. So we switch this up. We run it for the last 5 games, and let's see how things have changed. Well, during that 5-game window, he's appeared in 4 out of those 5 games. He's playing over 38 minutes per game. Now, his attempts, 7.3 attempts per game. His makes, 3.3 makes per game. So just like Kyrie, his teammate, his 3-point makes are trending upward in his last 5, or in this case, 4 games. So that is a good sign for us. We are looking to take the over here on Kevin Durant and these 2.5 3-point makes. So to wrap things up for today's video, we're going to type in Kevin Durant's name into RotoWire and look at him across the 4 different industry sports books here. We got him at -136 for the over. Very strong number there. -140, even better. -133. And last but not least, guys, -125. So to sum things up here, all 4 of these sports books have him going over 2.5 3-point makes. For the season averages, he's over 2.5 3-point makes at 2.6. And then for his last 5 games, he's even higher. He's actually over 3 3-point makes in his last 4 games. And then finally, we got projections, or I'm sorry, we got the projected game totals here. Pretty high game spread, very close, meaning Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, all these guys should be getting in there and playing a full run of minutes against a very competitive Denver Nuggets team. So I like Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving to exceed that 2.5 3-point prop. But that's going to do it for today's video. You guys let me know. Was there anything that stood out to you? Was there a prop that you're really liking? One that you're really not? Maybe there's a prop that I didn't get a chance to talk about. Drop that prop down in the comments section below. Maybe you'll help me out. Maybe you'll help someone else out there who's watching today's video out. Appreciate all your support, guys. Again, sorry I missed you yesterday, but I made up for it today with today's video. So I hope this helps you out. Good luck tonight over on PrizePicks, guys. Until the next one, we'll see you then. Peace.